Homestage Feature.
Hey, welcome to Homestage Feature. I'm Gayle of Up 987 DYFR FM Cebu. If this is your first time to hear about this show, let me tell you about it. Homestage Feature is a musical moment shared from an artist's home to yours. And it is heard on the New J 103.3 in Cagayan de Oro City, Up 987 DYFR FM in Cebu City, and now XD. These are FM radio and online platforms of FEBC Philippines. Homestage Feature brings you singers and songwriters from all over the place so we can enjoy together what we all love, and that is music. So do follow the New J Up 987 and now XD on Facebook. Let's keep the ball rolling and get to know our featured artist for this episode. This is my first time meeting her, so I am excited as you are. Let's get to know this independent Filipina Canadian Christian artist. Hello, Audrey Marie.
Hi, so nice to meet you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm really good. I'm very, very happy to be here. Yes.
How are you personally, especially during this pandemic? It's been more than a year into this pandemic. How have you been coping?
It's, to be honest, it's been quite a crazy ride. Before the pandemic started, I was just a student for community college, and because COVID was crazy, a lot of things changed, and I guess this was the opportunity where God was saying, "Hey, this is your time to chase your dreams," and I pretty much did. And ever since then, I've just been really spending my time working on myself and also just pursuing the gifts that God has given me. And it's been really great so far, even though it is a little bit sad that I'm not able to physically be around with my friends and some of my family members all the time. It's still really nice to take this time to really focus on yourself and really take the time to work on our relationship with God. So it's been very refreshing and great.
Wow. You mentioned a while ago that because of this pandemic, you felt an impression from God giving you a go signal to chase your dream. So what is that dream of yours?
Definitely that biggest dream was creating music. Before the pandemic, I was a little bit insecure about it. I was a little bit scared. It was something that I pursued ever since I was a little girl, but I guess life kind of made me feel a little bit busy and kind of got in the way of pursuing what I wanted to do. And it was just really interesting when the pandemic started. I realized that my schedule was slowly freeing up, and that's when I actually kind of had time to really think and hear God's voice. And during that time, it was just crazy because that's when he was saying, like, Kate, you have no excuse anymore. This is your time. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
So it's amazing because it's one of the blessings that you experienced during this pandemic, just being able to do what you feel God wants you to do. So speaking of the pandemic, I've read reports showing how music helped a lot of people during this health crisis. So how do you feel about that as an artist?
Yeah, I actually feel like it's a really interesting way that a lot of people connect with music, especially during this pandemic. It's music has actually spoken a lot louder than it has before. I know that there's a lot of musicians that really spoke out there. I know, for example, Justin Bieber, he had an album and it's so amazing, and the lyrics are so, like, they're so poetic. And I think that's amazing thing about music, how the communication with it is very poetic, and sharing your emotions can be very poetic as well. And I guess during these hard times, we feel more emotional and we feel more lonely. And with music, it's just because music can sometimes match to what we're feeling. I guess with during this pandemic, when people are sharing their music, it's kind of like sharing like kind of matching with how they're feeling lonely and everything, but also kind of just giving that resolution, and also like just a reminder like, hey, everything's gonna be okay. And I guess that's like a really big thing that motivates me a lot to write, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are feeling very scared and feeling very confused, because we honestly don't know what's going to happen in this pandemic.
True.
And
Yeah.
and pretty much with that, with my music, I kind of just want to give that like that reminder, like everything's going to be okay, and because God's by your side. We just always have to learn to trust in him. And sometimes, even though it sounds so simple, that message sounds so simple, but the thing is with music, it's so emotional. So sharing that simple message through music in an emotional way, it can really connect with them. And I guess that's kind of why music right now is just speaking a lot louder to people during this pandemic.
Yeah, in short, you want to bring a message of hope to the people who listen
Yes,
to your
yes.
music.
Yeah.
Nice. So,
Yeah.
so when did you realize you like music? Can you walk us through your musical journey?
Yeah, so it's actually really interesting. When I talked about it with my mom, she told me that I started singing ever since I was 2. And
Wow.
yeah, it was really
Two.
interesting. Whenever I was in my room, I used to have like a TV right in front of me, and I used to watch these Christian Bible videos, these video cassette tapes, and I
Mm-mm.
would always sing along to it. And I guess from that's when my parents kind of figured out like, hey, like maybe she might be into music. And
Was it salty?
I guess so, maybe. Yeah, maybe. And I guess from there, around the age of 7, that's when I started uh actually having voice lessons. I know it was my grandma that really wanted me to start voice lessons, and from there I actually grew a really big interest in that. And
Mm.
from that time, I'd always want to be part of worship teams, or a part of school musicals and everything like that.
Mm-mm.
And I actually moved to the Philippines in I would believe in 2010. So that would be my 2 last years in high school.
Mm-mm.
I went to an international school, and the reason for me going there was basically to pursue music. And after I graduated there, I went to the music school of Ryan Kayabyab to actually got
Wow.
really trained. And my vocal coach was the daughter of Ryan Kayabyab. And
Wow.
yeah, so from there I really had a love in voice. I loved to sing ever since then. And she really taught me how to sing classical jazz. And
Mm.
that was the genre that I love so much. And I really wanted
Ooh.
to bring it back in, because I believe around that time it was still kind of there, but they mixed it a little bit with pop. I
Mm.
believe the year of that was 2013 or 14. That's when jazz was slowly coming back, but now jazz is being really influenced in I guess in the past few years, and it's been really great because I really wanted to write music in that genre. So
Mm.
um I guess that's kind of where my musical journey kind of really came to be.
It's amazing that you've been trained in the music school of Ryan Cayabyab. Like
Oh.
he's one of those musicians Filipinos look up to. Are you still in touch with your vocal coach?
Every now and then. So the first album that I did, I actually messaged her and showed her about it, and I kind of really wanted to like share my gratitude, because I if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't have really feel like have that inspiration in music, because she really taught me a lot on, like, yes, the technical stuff, because of course we always have to learn that, but she
Yeah.
really got me in tune um the emotions of music, and but also kind of the emotions of music of jazz, because she's a very, very big like her medium is definitely jazz as well. And I think that's when her and I kind of got surprised, because I remember she used to always show me videos of like jazz singers, and in my head I was like, I could not sing like that, no way. And then when she showed me a song that I had to sing, I think it was called Lullaby of Birdland. When I sang it, her and I were very surprised. So then ever since then, that's when we were like, okay, that's definitely,
that's how it started.
yeah, that's pretty much how it started. And it was amazing looking back at that.
Nice. Now, in one of our chats, you mentioned that you are the music director of your local church. So how are you led to that assignment?
Yeah, so it's actually really interesting. So my dad's actually a pastor. So he's a pastor for this church that my family grew up with. And it's interesting because this church is in the same building of another church. And so the pastor of that church pretty much asked my dad if like, oh, is there anyone you know that could be a music director? And that's when my dad suggested me. And it's been over a year now. That's when I connected with the pastor. And it was really interesting because during that time I was really looking for a new church to go to, and it was a perfect fit because it's even though like there's not a lot of young people there, I really feel like I connect with my team and the people that I work with as a music director. And it's been really great so far. Yeah.
Nice. But to me, that seems like a huge responsibility at 27 years old, you know?
Yeah.
So you mentioned that it's been doing great, especially that been in that position for about a year now. But I'm curious to know, what were the challenges that you faced so far, and how did you overcome it?
I think the biggest challenge was definitely the age range, because the
Oh.
congregation is actually a lot older. They're more of like seniors. And the number one thing, when I did talk to my pastor about it, he said that he really does want to have a mix of blended worship in this church. And it's really funny because it's like, oh, I'm at this time I'm 26 years old, and I'm thinking like, I just came like because I used to lead worship and like worship nights and everything for young people, and like you can only imagine how
there's a difference.
There's a huge difference. So thinking about it, I'm like, oh, okay, so this is gonna be very interesting. So I had to really like blend the worship of hymnals and also of worship songs that we've known in like the early 2000s or the late 90s, and kind of have familiar songs that they know, but also kind of bring in very new songs, and kind of having it in a way where it's a blended way where it doesn't feel too much of a culture shock for the congregation. Because at the end of the day, yes, I am the music director, but I also need to know my church, and with my church I need to understand what works for them to worship, and what do they really connect with. Because I could share with them songs that can be totally different for them, and maybe eventually they could connect with it, but what really connects with them right now are the songs that some of them grew up with, or some of them have worshiped and sang along to for a while, and it's been a song that they've it's like their go-to song. It's kind of like their motto pretty much. And it's not like I wouldn't want to take that away, but yeah, I also don't want to take that away from them, because that's something that that is very precious for them. And also I guess for me, even though it was a challenge, it is something that I've learned to appreciate as well, because with the old songs that we're leading, I remember listening to them as a kid, and I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm just singing along to this. But now that I'm like older and I'm really like reflecting on the lyrics, it makes me realize how powerful they are. And
That's true.
I do see a big difference with it as well. And it's been, I feel really blessed, like kind of comparing it, seeing it, and it also inspires me too as I write as well. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I like what you shared a while ago when it comes to you choosing the songs that would fit your congregation. And I guess it's a great reminder for worship leaders out there not to be carried away with their
Yeah.
favorite songs, because at the end of the day, we are worship leaders lead the congregation to sing for the Lord. And yeah, that's a great insight for worship leaders. Now, aside from being a singer, you also write your own songs, right?
Yes.
And we are just so privileged to hear you sing for us today. So, the first song you'll perform for us is called Painted Smile. That's an interesting title. I'm curious to know the story behind this song. So, please do share it with us.
Yes. So for Painted Smile, it's actually really interesting. It reflects on the verse Philippians 4:6. It says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, but prayer and petition with thanksgiving present your request to God." And it just talks about anxiety pretty much. With the song, it really reflects on just the overthinking thoughts that we tend to have.
Mm,
And the biggest thing that I've grew up having like worrying about is what other people would think about me. And
yeah.
being a pastor's daughter, you tend to have that reputation. You tend to really think about like, oh, this person is staring at me, what are they thinking about me? And I just did this and they're looking at me a funny way, like, did I do something wrong? Or there's viewing your actions, it's like you're in a spotlight. And this doesn't only reflect on like pastors' kids, but it's just anyone out there that they're really afraid of what other people would think about them, the like other people's judgment of what the society feels and what they think is right. And sometimes at the end of the day, we have to understand that yes, we can always be afraid of what other people think about us, but God loves us no matter who we are. And s- sometimes we just have to accept God's love, because that's all that we need right now. There's so many relationships that could leave us, but God's always going to be there. And I guess with Painted Smile, when I was writing it, I was really thinking about that, because I was thinking, oh man, there is a lot of people that could judge me right now, and I
Mm,
would feel very, very insecure about certain things. And um I think at the end of the day, whenever I take time to pray about it and like feel refreshed after having that time of prayer, I remember there was this one night I think I was getting very, very nervous about a conversation I had with a couple of friends, and it was just more of like a confrontation conversation. And I was just very, very scared and worried about it, because it was just coming out of honesty. And I remember taking that time to just pray about it, like really pray about it. And I think it was interesting, because after I prayed about it and I felt a lot better, God was
mm,
kind of saying like, "Hey, it's okay because I'm here." Like, if you're feeling afraid that you're going to be alone, or if you're going to be judged, or just remember that I'm here. I'm always going to be here, and I love you and accept you as my child. So, it was just a
mm,
very, very interesting thing. I know I think it's the bridge or the second verse going to the chorus, it literally it says, "It doesn't matter what people say. His
mm.
promises will never fail. He will remain until the end of age." And with that, it's literally like his promises never fail, his love never fails. So at the end of it, we can tend to feel like we have that painted smile that we like to paint on our faces to impress other people, but with God you don't really need that. And um I guess I never mentioned this before, so I guess it's like an exclusive thing. There is
Wow.
like a there is like a vision I had when I was writing this. I kind of envision like a porcelain doll, because with porcelain dolls, we can be a porcelain doll can be very, very perfect. Like the the body of it is the face of it is so perfect. It's smooth and it's painted. And when it has like a small mistake that's shown on it, like if there's a crack or if there's a trim on their dress, like it's so noticeable. And that's what it comes to, like some of us, whenever we fear something, if ever we have we sometimes, whenever we have a mistake, we tend to have that fear, like, oh, is it really obvious? Is it showing that I'm feeling vulnerable right now? Or is it showing that I'm feeling or if there's like a visual mistake, is it showing that I have like for example, like a pimple on my face? Like, can you see that? And I guess with that, I with that vision, I kind of realized, God loves us, and he loves us regardless of what crack or imperfection we have. So yeah, that's a really long tangent
Wow.
of Painted Smile.
It's okay. You know what? It's such a powerful and relevant message. And I'm sure our listeners and viewers are excited to hear you sing. So here she is, live on Homestage Feature, Audrey Marie performing her single, Painted Smile.
They can say my anxiety is building up my fear. They say the cracks, they say the trims. How could I cover my heart within? They see my eyes with fragile shine. They are trying to read between the lines. You said you love me first, even when they see me at my worst. Their judgment's cruel and vile, but you wipe away that painted smile. I do what I can to hide my sad and shameful past, but the society keeps picking out my broken glass. I don't know what to do, I don't know who to please. They don't seem so happy with the phony me. These rumors are barging in, they're trying to break my life's antique. It's getting to the point where my heart cannot speak. Ooh, it doesn't matter what people say, his promises will never fail. He will remain until the end of age. You said you love me first, even when they see me at my worst. Their judgment's cruel and vile, but you wipe away that painted smile. You said you love me first, even when they see me at my worst. Their judgment's cruel and vile, but you wipe away that painted smile.
All right, that was Audrey Marie for Painted Smile. Thank you so much, Audrey, for sharing that song with us. And I believe that's very relevant, especially with the pandemic that we are in. A lot of people are feeling depressed and suicidal because of this health crisis and the problems brought about by this pandemic. So I trust that the message of this song will truly bring encouragement and comfort to our listeners. You know what? I still want to ask you a lot of questions, but we're running out of time. So we will see you next week for part 2 of this interview. Okay, is that okay?
Yes, of course.
To those who are watching us right now, make sure you catch Audrey Marie for part 2 of this interview. Invite your family and friends to watch as well and share this video with them. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Gayle for Home Stage Feature. God bless you and keep safe.
Home Stage Feature.